going to go ahead and start recording, and we're going to go ahead and watch the latest news about Assassin's Creed. I was excited for this game, but after everything that's been coming out, I'm way less excited. So let's see what they got.
Video about some really weird and troubling things from places like Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed Shadows and more. And I talked to an insider at Ubisoft who has now spilled quite a bit to me, so let me tell you all about what they told me. We're going to talk Shadows, Hex, and even Far Cry 7, and even how some of these creatives are running away in fear. And there's some YouTubers that are unfortunately calling for violence against Japanese people and more that'll be covered in this video. I vetted this person, they've been at Ubisoft for quite a while, and they reached out to clarify things to me and give me more insight into what's going on at the company. Firstly, they wanted to ensure that everyone knows that Shadows was not made by the main Ubisoft studio, so to speak. So, circling back, Ubisoft Montreal has effectively worked on every single Assassin's Creed game in some way. They are considered the main Ubisoft studio.
That's crazy then. Why have anybody else make it?
The ones that are working on Shadows as the leads is Ubisoft Quebec, which, as my insider told me, was mostly a support studio for a really long time. They did get their first chance at their first mainline Assassin's Creed game with Syndicate, which didn't exactly sell well, but
I played Syndicate and I didn't mind it. I thought the game was good. It had like a steampunk feel. It was good. I thought it was a good game. I didn't mind it. I don't know why people hated it.
This was less due to the quality of Syndicate and more so because Unity, if you guys remember, was such a busted release that it actually killed the momentum for the franchise and it affected Syndicate's sales too. And then this obviously got fixed once the next game came out, which was Origins. But weird that both mainline Assassin's Creed games that Ubisoft Quebec has worked on have duo protagonists in both games. And it's not working very well in Syndicate in my opinion, and so far previews are saying that Yasuke is the weaker character in every way here in terms of variety and such too. Also, my source told me that, and I didn't even know this, but Kim Belair, the co-founder of Sweet Baby Inc., she actually worked on Assassin's Creed Valhalla, not as a Sweet Baby consultant as far as we can tell, but as an actual writer at Ubisoft. I then looked this up and lo and behold, she did work on Valhalla and the expansions, but she's credited as Kimberly Belair instead, starting to make sense why Valhalla had really bad pacing and writing when I played it.
I liked the writing. I liked the end. It made me feel. It was a good story. It wasn't bad. It wasn't the greatest in the world, but I would say it was alright for an Assassin's Creed. And I loved the shit out of the gameplay. The gameplay was great. Reminded me of Assassin's Creed 3.
My source also told me that Kim Belair's girlfriend worked on Valhalla as well. And Kim Belair was frequently found on the Ubisoft floors walking around and being a part of development for Valhalla. She also had a desk and everything that I'm told when Valhalla was being made. My source also told me there was a ridiculous amount of lesbian and feminist-leaning people on the writing team for games like Valhalla. And anytime internally someone referred to the player as he or as a male in general, these lesbian feminist devs would correct you instantly and demand that you refer to the player as she/he, but always put emphasis on ensuring that the she pronoun came before the male pronoun, always internally when discussing things.
I don't know how people can work in a workplace with someone like that. Me personally, I hate walking on eggshells around people, and I prefer to avoid it. So, I mean, these people are spending months and years together to develop these games. I don't know how people can tolerate it. It would drive me crazy.
Kim Belair would leave after Valhalla was done, and then I was told that Kim made sure that she got people hired that she vetted for that stayed at Ubisoft to, well, enact her will, so to speak, at the company as she left. As I was told, if you were white, you basically walk on eggshells constantly at any
I would hate
Ubisoft
that.
studio.
That would be shit.
However, if you're gay, black, or, anything but white pretty much, you seem to only fail upwards, which according to my source, is very frustrating for all the other employees who actually do their jobs. Apparently, internally too, these feminist devs were very angry when they found out that in Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla, that players were overwhelmingly choosing the male options over the female ones that are considered the canon options.
A male demographic.
And if you want to know why female Ivor is canon, it all comes back to Kim Belair.
Is it canon?
Baby, unfortunately. Exact numbers that I was given was around 70% of players chose Alexios in Odyssey over Cassandra.
Alexios was a good character, but I mean, it was so shitty writing. I hated Odyssey so much.
And 65% of players chose male Eivor over that of female Eivor. This
Because the voice
frustrated
actor was on
developers
point with
internally, the
Eivor.
feminist
Eivor's
ones,
my
I mean, who
fucking
are all
boy.
left-leaning woke activists, by the way. So this is why they opted, as I'm told by my source, to ensure that Naoe was not able to change her gender in the game. They genuinely wanted to force players into playing a female shinobi over a male one deliberately. And it was for no other reason than because that they were jealous and angry that despite their efforts, that the male versions were still evidently far more popular. Wild, right? Sorry, by the way, if I'm bouncing around over these, Assassin's Creed games, but man, there's a lot to cover. So let's now go over some Yasuke
How do these people
stuff
not
that I
get
was
called
told
out for sexism or
before I
racism?
get into Hex.
Because that
next.
it's both
So
of
as
those.
I was told by my source, the Yasuke removal stuff is smoke and mirrors according to them. Apparently, and again take this part with a grain of salt, but this person is very tied to a lot of stuff going on there. They said that Ubisoft has actually not removed much of any of the content about Yasuke in-game.
As far as what I know about Yasuke is that he was adopted by some Japanese lord, but he didn't take any big part. Who was it? Inu Saba, some popular guy that took over Japan, or at least most of Japan. And he got to be a retainer under him, but as far as his role, my understanding is he didn't have a very big part to play, and historically wise.
But instead, they are simply
He's
lying
been
about it
fantasized
to
in a
make
lot
it
of
seem like
media,
they're
but
listening
as
to
far as I
players'
know, his
feedback.
impact
My
on
insider
history wasn't
told
very
me that
much.
Ubisoft apparently has no plans to remake the Yasuke content because they feel as if they do, they will be seen as
Nobunaga!
bending the knee, so
That
to
was his
speak,
name.
to the online haters. So the idea here, according to my insider, is to lie about removing content to trick people into buying the game thinking that they change their ways. And yes, if you're a frequent watcher of the channel, you know that I've told you guys months ago how this was what my other insider told me would be the new meta going forward. Lie about changes, gaslight players into believing that they won, and then sell them a product that features all the things they loathe and then change
For
nothing and then cash it at
$150.
the bank. But yes, as I'm told, it's a marketing ploy designed to trick players into believing that
And it's gonna be
Ubisoft
live
has
service
changed
with
when
a battle
they
pass.
haven't at all. Also, I asked my source about the alleged Assassin's Creed 1 remake, and they told me that, yeah, it's happening, it's in development right now. But according to them, the reason why it's being made is because Ubisoft is doing that
They're gonna make it gay and they're gonna put a shit personality girl in it.
giant hub concept, AC Infinity it's called. The idea is that you have this one portal app that opens the player to all of the experiences within Assassin's Creed. Call of Duty is doing this as well with recent releases too, how you can play, Black Ops 6, Warzone, etc., all from the same launcher. It's the same idea, but imagine you just click on an Assassin's Creed game and boom, you're in it, and then you can drop out and go into another game into a new timeline. As I'm told, Ubisoft's ambitious plan here doesn't stop at just the first game
So they're trying to sell all their shitty games, Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Origins too. Great.
being remade. Listen to this. As my source told me, they're remaking everything, game by game, all the way up until Origins. So to clarify, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, and I guess Mirage, will not be remade in the future. But Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations 3, 4, well 4 we know is being remade right now and should release either this year or next.
Wait, but not Black Flag? Wait, is Black Flag 4? I think Black Flag might be 4.
And this would also include stuff like Unity, and maybe even Syndicate will also be remade.
Black Flag,
So they
definitely
can
one of
all
my
release
favorites. Not as much as
looking
3.
and I guess
love
playing
3.
similarly, so when you launch this Infinity app, you can just jump into whichever game and it's all seamless. So yeah, you heard that right. Multiple remakes. I don't know about the smaller games like the China one or the Russian one or the one with Adeline. I don't know about those ones.
Those
But
kind
they
of
just told
off-brand
me
ones.
that the mainline ones will be remade. So no idea if they'll make them like Valhalla and add RPG elements,
Ezio
or if they will just do a
Auditore.
more streamlined action adventure pure remake. But there you go.
I loved it when they just told the story. All the other Assassin's Creeds, they told the story. It was epic. It was an epic adventure. Ezio and his story to go take the artifact, to go attack the artifacts, killing the Templars, kicking ass, taking names. That's the kind of shit I remember, and that's the kind of shit I want the game to be.
They're remaking everything.
I don't want to deal with this levels
if they
bullshit.
don't go bankrupt, that is, I guess.
I got
did ask
stalled
if
on
there were
Origins
any
and Odyssey
murmurings
because of
of
levels.
new settings or games that are post Shadows and Hex. As of right now, the answer is no.
I am so upset about Skull and Bones. I am furious about Skull and Bones. I was excited about Skull and Bones. I'm mad.
Apparently, Hex or Hexy, however you say it, is in development hell. The game doesn't even have solid gameplay features yet. It's more of a concept that is still struggling to find its foothold. But from
Look
what
at
I'm
that boarding
told, the
procedure.
game will, yes,
could have been
star
Skull
a
and Bones.
single female character. Because again, the feminists are butthurt
And
there
they're
that
gonna
you
make her
guys
gay and
keep
boring.
playing as men over the female options. Hex was described to me as a German medieval era game with people being prosecuted for witchcraft and such. There is a map apparently at Ubisoft that details all of their potential ideas for this Hex game. But as my source told me, the world that they're
Yep.
creating with
They're
Hex
gonna make her
is
gay and
actually
boring.
very beautiful and striking to the eyes. One of the locations in-game was described to me as a beautiful Gothic medieval German city with dark corners aplenty and small shops that are littered throughout.
Did Germany
They
go through the
don't
witch
know
trials?
which German city would be implemented in
Huh.
the game, but it would be set in Germany apparently to some degree. But I was also
they
told
were
that Hex
prosecuting
will steer
Europe, so
away
yeah.
from the
Yes, they
vastness
would've.
of, say, Valhalla. Instead, my insider told me, the best comparison right now to Hex is Metro Exodus. So if you didn't play Metro Exodus, first of all, great game. You should play all the Metro games. They're awesome.
I started playing
But
it.
anyway,
I don't know.
Metro
I didn't
Exodus
really feel
has
it
you
for me.
journeying via a train through these linear but also semi-open zones as the story progresses. You explore these smaller regions which have,
I don't know
items
why
to
it didn't hit
find,
me, but it
monsters
didn't
to
hit me.
kill,
I
and stories
tried
to
it.
uncover. And eventually, once you do
I could try
whatever
and
the
play it
main
later
quest
if it
line
goes
is
good
at
on
the
my channel.
time, you leave that area behind and then move on to the next one. This is what they want to do with Hex, as I'm being told. My insider doesn't know if Ubisoft would allow the player to return to these areas after passing them by, but yeah, they don't want the game to be like Valhalla or even Odyssey, where it's just, big and open. The idea is tighter level design.
It was too big, it was too open, and the leveling grind was ass. There was no way to really gain XP other than doing their shitty little missions. It was dumb, and it stalled me in the games, and I hated it, and I didn't want to play them anymore, because I didn't want to grind inside a story game. I wanted to finish the goddamn story.
I think more so.
It's the only
old
reason I
school
was
Prince
there.
of Persia, kind of, but still open enough that you will have options running around fighting stuff, etc. And the game will feature what my source called magic. And the idea internally for all Assassin's Creed games in general, as I'm
Magic?
told, is that Ubisoft wants to move away more so from having their games in this franchise be grounded historical things like the previous ones.
Yeah, why would they add magic? God, I hated it when they add magic in Eivor's thing too, and also in Odyssey because they added the Minotaur and shit. It didn't feel like Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed had that like historical relevance to it. It's just sad.
And instead
I
be
wish it
far
wouldn't go
more
this way.
fantastical and magic based going forward. Yes, I know that all the games have issue artifacts, but the best comparison that I was being described to is how Odyssey had, Cyclopses and
Yeah.
Medusa and all of that. Ubisoft wants more fantastical elements
Why?
in these games, and Hex is meant to blow.
What, is the real world too boring for you? In what, Assassin's Creed 2? They made a goddamn chapel out of the game. You guys hear that? A chapel burnt down and they used the 1-to-1 ratio from the Assassin's Creed game to remake it. Is real life that boring to you that you gotta add all this crazy ass shit? Keep it within the historical relevance.
The doors off, so to speak, and turn this series into a borderline fantasy game almost. I have no idea if you will fight stuff like, I don't know, werewolves or something or whatever. but
No,
they
that's
could
not
probably
Assassin's
just
Creed.
say
That's The
that
Witcher.
the issue experimented with the genes of animals with humans like they did in Odyssey to explain it away. But the idea overall is to have a fantastical, more linear-based, smaller zone, Metro
No!
Exodus-like experience, but it's still Assassin's Creed.
That
You guys think
sound
that's a good
Assassin's
idea?
Creed. No!
Let me know in the comments, because again, this game, as
It's
I'm
shitty.
told, is struggling really badly behind the scenes, and not a lot of progress has been made with it. My insider said that the reason that development has been so slow on Hex is because a large portion of the team working on it have been moved onto Shadows in order to fix it because, as my source put it, that game is really effed up behind the scenes. So Ubisoft is throwing everything that they can to fix Shadows, so as for when Hex comes out, there is no release date right now. It's just delayed beyond any measure, and it's basically just due to Shadows being asked behind the scenes, to be real with you. My insider also said that the upper management at Ubisoft is completely out of touch with both what the devs and players want these days. It's very hard to convey any ideas or talk sense into the people at the top at Ubisoft, and they called Ubisoft in general a leftist echo chamber to the max. You cannot bring up stuff like Trump or Pierre Poilievre.
God forbid you talk about your opinion.
Prime Minister in Canada, in case you don't know. Because it's all seen as sacrilegious at Ubisoft because he's not a liberal nor is Trump, and that's a big no-no, I guess. I was also told there's one female employee, at least at Ubisoft, who is hell to work with. As I'm told, this female employee lies aplenty and threatens to ruin other male devs' careers if they don't agree to sleep with her.
That's
and Human Resources
crazy!
in general refuses to do anything about this problem because the entirety of HR is unsurprisingly full of women who are pro-Me Too and see this woman as a victim instead of being a predator. And this female employee is apparently just threatening and coaxing people into sleeping with her. And my insider said that everyone at Ubisoft that works there, they just try to steer clear of this nutcase, which is wild. But there you go, guys.
How can anybody work with a person like that? That's fucking crazy to me. That's nuts. How can anybody do it? I would quit.
A sex predator, I guess, at Ubisoft that will ruin your career if you don't drop your pants, allegedly. And this female employee apparently has blackmail on people, and this is why she hasn't been dealt.
Here's how you deal with blackmailers. You don't let them get a hold of you. Sure, they may have something on you, but I mean, if it's something you did bad, then you need to atone for it, or else they're going to keep on using it against you, and it's just going to make the situation worse and worse and worse, and you fall into kind of like a rabbit hole. Don't let the blackmailer win. Just give yourself up.
Which is, well, that's a problem, all right. I understand that this female employee has nothing to do with the whole Ubisoft leak stuff that I'm talking about, but my insider was very frustrated and wanted people to know, so there you go. Now everyone knows. They also said that it's borderline impossible to pitch new ideas for games, and that all the game ideas come from upper management only. So if you have a cool idea, they don't want to hear it. The DEI initiatives at Ubisoft are also the real killer that's rotting out the company. I also asked if Assassin's Creed will ever go into modern day, and my insider firmly stated that the probability is close to zero. The reason being is that Ubisoft higher-ups never want the games to feature actual guns that are efficient and stuff like, cars. However, stuff like muskets and such are fine because they are in AC3, but they're not as reliable, so they're seen as being an okay thing to add. But they do want to firmly stay in the past with this franchise, so if...
I mean, I'm fine with it being in the past, but why is it the guns that's the big deal? Guns are everywhere. They're everywhere in modern day. What are they, trying to hide guns from people? This game goes to America quite a bit, doesn't it?
you wanted a World War II Assassin's Creed game anytime soon, it's likely not happening, sorry.
Oh.
Ubisoft has also lost around 1,000 employees at Ubisoft Montreal over the years, bringing their dev count from 4,000 to 3,000 over there. As I'm told, this was mostly because Ubisoft forced work-from-home hires to come in, and it ruined morale, and they also implemented dozens of DEI policies that ended up driving out a lot of senior talent from Montreal. Again,
I am not a fan of the work-from-home thing, mainly because when you're home, you're not nearly as productive. Some people say that you're even more productive, that you can get more done in that week, but I mean, I feel like you just get distracted all the time. Me and my ADD ass, I'd get distracted by the nearest shiny that I see. I can imagine what it's like for a million other people.
Again, reminder, this is their flagship studio that has now lost 1,000 employees over the years. Most of these people weren't even fired. They just kind of left out of frustration.
They just left.
Now, let's get into Far Cry 7. My insider confirmed that yes, the game has a 24-hour...
I did not play the latest Far Cry. I thought it looked like crap.
...in-game timer. At one point, the game was meant to have a female protagonist only. which was described internally
Why?
as a John McClane type. Yeah, die hard, but a woman was the pitch, because again,
I'm not at all opposed to women being in video games. That's not what I mean. When I play a game, I like to visualize myself in that character's role. I'd like to see me in that situation. I can't see it if I'm in the opposite gender. So, of course, I'm not going to play the female. I'm going to play the male. I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to play the female, but it doesn't suit me. I don't like it. I'd rather play the dude.
female activists.
Because
And
it's
the
me in
initial
the game.
idea for the game, and no,
The choices
I'm
I
not
make are
kidding,
mine.
was that the game would open
So I
with
make
you
my
and your
characters look
family
like me,
at some
to a
sort
degree.
of party, and then a group of pro-Trump, pro-gun, anti-vax conservative terrorists would show up and kidnap your family. This idea was somewhat canned internally at some point, and the whole female John McClane character was fully removed. So now, as I'm told, Far Cry 7 only has a sole male protagonist.
But
that you
why?
can now
Why not
play
give the
as.
other option
My
too?
insider also
Why is gender such a big deal to these devs? Put both in there. Give people an option to be one or the other, because just like me, I'm sure that there's a girl that wants to play a female character, or a dude that wants to play a female character, or a girl that wants to play a male character. Leave it up to the player's decision. Why try to restrict people to the one role? That's dumb.
said that IGN was false
It's
in their claim
preferential.
where they reported that the game would take place on an island in China. The only part that they got right apparently about the game's setting was that it was on an island. But the game is instead 100% set in the United States, not China. I'm told that the game gives you plenty of choices as to who you can save from your family or not, but it is impossible to save every single family member currently in one single playthrough. Now, I don't know if in repeated playthroughs if you can save them all, though. Also, the conservative angle
like
for
Far
the
Cry
main
5.
villain is
My favorite.
apparently still in the game. So that will probably
I
piss
hate the
people off
sequel.
for
The
sure.
sequel
But
is
there's
shit.
some twist that I'm told in the story where people are revealed to not be who they say they are. One of the concepts that Far Cry 7 is pushing on the player is that the bad guys could actually be the good guys all along. So I straight up just asked if the twist was like the game is some weird science fiction time loop gobbledygook, and my insider said no, it's definitely not. All they told me is that you know that Far Cry loves having drugs in them, and that's all they would say. So no sci-fi elements. So expect the game to be some crazy, insane, time-gated thing with drugs and saving people
I don't
and
think it's
killing
me. I think
other
it's a
people
recording.
that are apparently conservatives that may actually be the good
I got
guys
the shit
all
on
along.
1080p.
But my insider said that the game is very grounded with its gameplay and world. I tried to ask who the, main actor they got for the game's main
Why
villain
is it
is,
recording shit?
but they said that the identity is very well protected and they didn't want to reveal it because Ubisoft will probably blow a gasket if they do. But in terms of leaks, I think that's everything that they told me. My insider did say that Shadows is likely cooked no matter what, and they think if the game didn't have Yasuke in it, people wouldn't care as much about the
Well, I mean, it's not that. I mean, if the writing shit and the gameplay shit, nobody's gonna want to play it. Depends how the core part of your game is. Yeah, Yasuke caused a lot of controversy, but I mean, all in all, people are looking at the gameplay and the graphics, and I mean, go back and watch some of these videos about the assassin. It looks like shit. Or
historical
even Yasuke's movements
inaccuracies.
look like shit.
According to them, Valhalla is full of inaccurate items in the world and nobody seemed to care, so they're probably right
Because the gameplay was fucking good. I had no issue with the gameplay in Valhalla.
about that. But don't expect me to go through Valhalla now to look for these inaccuracies, by the way, but there you go. Oh yeah, also Ubisoft was going to make a Prince of Persia game in the style of Shadow of the Colossus years ago, but it got canned. But apparently this build still exists on some devs' Xbox
And I liked how they introduced Odin Valhalla. They didn't put it inside the world. What they did was they made Enor take a drug and he had a hallucinatory dream, and then you're playing inside that dream. That sounds more realistic than anything.
dev kits, so there's another game that you guys never got. And Ubisoft was also making a game about 15
They still
years
had their
ago that was
fantastical
pretty
stuff
much
that I
just
didn't appreciate too in
Starfield, but it was
Valhalla.
called Pioneer. And it was in development hell and eventually got cancelled, and I'm told that that game's dev time led to a lot of burnout, depression, and a super toxic environment internally. The last thing that they asked me to tell people is to try to not be too hateful online and don't ruin the image of Gamergate 2 in general. by spewing hate in every direction. Try to reel it in and be more objective. That's what they wanted to say, so there you go. But thanks to my insider for all this information. I know it's a lot. What do you think about all of this? Let me know in the comments. Now there's other news. Firstly, the situation surrounding Shadows is not going well. We all know this. Key creatives, however, involved with this game have been ruining the reputation and that of the Assassin's Creed franchise with this newest entry. But now we can confirm that yet another person has decided to run away as the release date gets closer, that being the lead writer for Shadows. This lead writer goes by Mossinmind on Twitter and was very vocal about the upcoming release of Shadows. She got a lot of flack for plenty of reasons, but as you can see here, we have this lead writer ecstatic that she's working on Shadows. But people were quick to point out way back then that she was also following Sweet Baby Inc. on Twitter. I would say don't harass her, which yes, you should never do. However,
No, you should
turns
never.
out she has completely deleted her Twitter account already.
Everybody has the right to form their own opinion, whether you view it as right or wrong. You don't have to go out there and be an asshole.
But it is weird to see the lead writer of a mainline Assassin's Creed game like this just nuking their public profile prior to release.
At the end of the day,
But
if you
I
don't
guess the
agree with that person,
situation
don't
surrounding
watch
the game
them,
has gotten
block
so
them,
dire that
don't read
everyone
their
who has
comments.
worked on this thing
Don't worry about
is
it.
trying to distance themselves from it, as I clearly already explained with all the leaks that I was told behind the scenes. Also, there's this YouTuber guy called The Hidden One, who, as their name implies, they do Assassin's Creed content. I got blocked by this person on Twitter, even
Ooh.
though I never once interacted with them to my knowledge. Anyway, they have been attacking people like crazy who are against Shadows. Don't harass this guy, by the way. I mean, he's a dummy, sure, but let's just look at what he said. Here's what he posted that made me raise an eyebrow. Here's a gif of Yasuke kicking the F out of a Japanese NPC. I love it.
I'm
Hey,
sorry?
Hidden One guy. Why are
What
you
the
so
fuck?
excited that Yasuke is killing Japanese people in Shadows? That's kind of weird,
That's such
isn't
an
it?
out of
I mean, I
pocket
know
thing
that
to
you're upset
say.
that Shadows is getting roasted on the daily, and it's,
That's
earned,
fucking
but
crazy.
okay. But do you think it's in your best interest to vilify Japanese people like this? It's very bizarre behavior on your part, man. You shouldn't be saying
That's
stuff like this, because we
crazy.
both know that if it was
Oh.
black people being massacred, you would never say something like this, but this is somehow
Oh my
okay.
God.
I would
How
say
can
I'm
he say that?
disappointed in
Think that
you,
was
but
alright
you
to
probably
post on
hear
the
that often
internet?
already, but don't do this, man.
Fucking
Be better than
internet.
this.
What a fucking
Especially if
idiot.
your whole brand is Assassin's Creed, why would you want to get people upset and get a whole region of
He
that,
went out of his
fan
way
base
to
out
piss
there
off
hating you
Japanese
for
people.
views? It's not worth it. I just wanted to bring this to people's attention. This Hidden One guy doesn't need to unblock me, that's fine. I just found his response here to be disappointing, but I think this is plenty. From all of the leaks and the other things, what do you guys think about all of this? Let me know.
Hey,
Thank
you know what?
for
Here's this
watching,
guy's channel.
subscribe,
When I
take care of
edit
yourselves,
this in
everyone,
YouTube,
and I'll see you guys in the next one.
here's this guy's channel. When I edit in YouTube, I'll try to put the link of this video in the description. So you guys go give him a sub and a like. This guy's badass. Oh wait, I don't want to join. I want to sub. I'm gonna watch more of this guy's videos. This guy was great. I loved him. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one. I put these guys' link in the description below. Please go give them a like and subscribe, and continue watching. I'll catch you all later. See you.